Hello, everyone. I'm Justin Silverman of the New England First Amendment Coalition. Thank you for joining us for another 30-minute skills. Before we begin, a quick ask from all of us at NEFAC. As you know, we provide these lessons as a public service to you. So please return the favor and support our work by visiting nefac.org and clicking donate. Any amount is appreciated, and every dollar goes to our critical education, advocacy, and defense efforts. Thank you so much for supporting our work. For those here today for the first time, welcome. Welcome to 30-Minute Skills. These are monthly lessons that are a quick and efficient way to add to your reporting toolbox, build on your First Amendment knowledge, and grow your journalism career. But they're also more than that. As those who join us every month already know, these lessons are a way for you to reconnect with a community of journalists, researchers, attorneys, and academics. So everyone, please use the chat to introduce yourself, showcase your own work, and connect with others. Also, make sure you register for our upcoming lessons such as Healthcare Reporting 101 and 102. Registration links and all previous lessons can be found at nefac.org/30-minute skills. Today's presentation is focused on vibe coding for journalists. It's supported in part by the estate of Gloria L. Negri. Gloria was a trailblazing journalist at the Boston Globe for more than 50 years. This program is part of her legacy of newsroom education and her lifelong commitment to local journalism. You can learn more about Gloria and other NEFAC supporters at nefac.org/supporters. During today's presentation, I again encourage you to introduce yourself in the chat and share your own experiences and resources. You can also use the chat or the Q&A button to ask questions of our instructor, and we'll get to as many of those questions as possible. We have a lot to cover and not a lot of time, so let's get started. Retha, all yours.
All right. Hi, good morning. I'm Retha Hill, and I am a professor emeritus from Arizona State University's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. Just retired a few months ago, so I could concentrate on artificial intelligence, the future of work, and especially as it interplays with journalism and mass communication. I'm also the founder of AncestoriesXR.com, and it is a site that helps people to connect with their family stories and their ancestors. And I turn those stories into little movies about their family. And that's been a lot of fun. But today we're going to talk about vibe coding. So, what is vibe coding? Vibe coding is a catch-all phrase for AI-driven code generation. And it's a term that was coined by OpenAI's co-founder, Andre Karpathy, back in the spring of 2025. So just earlier this year. And it's a term that just kind of took off, even though it had been around for a little bit. And vibe coding tools include Bolt.new, Zapier, which has been around for a little bit, Cursor, Windsurf, Replit, among others. And I'm sure you've probably either, maybe some of you have used a vibe coding tool, or you've heard of it, or you have a friend or a colleague who's used some of them. Google just released in their latest update, Build. And essentially, it allows people who don't know much about coding to code small apps and so on and so forth. Some of them are really dead simple to use. Others require some coding knowledge. Some are browser-based, and others will allow you to install the code base or the application on a server. Now, I'm not ever trying to install anything on a server because that's just a little bit outside of my realm of expertise. I probably could tackle it if I spent some time doing it, but I prefer to just go ahead and use a browser when I work on these things. So I started off playing around with Bolt.new, and I will just over the next couple of weeks start using Google's Build because I want to do some news games, and I think that might be a little bit better for me. But what Bolt and most of these new, not vice coding, but vibe coding tools can do is create web and mobile apps. It can create websites. It can create productivity tools, blogs, internal dashboards, and a whole lot more. So essentially what you do is you can just create your application or your website or your mobile app by just prompting it. And you all know what prompts are. You're writing a prompt by asking the AI to do something for you, and you're just watching and giving it more and more instructions as it builds something. You can even talk to it if you want to by not typing it in. Just tell it what you want, and you're watching it to build what you need to have happen one function at a time. So I'm going to do a little example of what I mean. I'm not going to do it live. I recorded all of this. And what we're going to do is create an events website for all of the American Revolution activities in the New England region. And what we want to do is basically use prompting to create this calendar website. And prompting is the key to successful vibe coding. Prompting is the key to successful image creation, is the key to successful whatever. And so, what you want to start off doing is think like you're speaking to a junior web programmer. So, the junior web programmer is really smart, but they still need some hand holding. So, you just can't say, hey, build me a cool app that does X, Y, and Z. So, if you just said that to a junior web programmer and walked away, you don't know what you're going to get. So you have to make sure you tell them what your high level concept should be in a clear and bespoke way, what you want them to build, but you also have to give them some pretty good direction. You want to break up your task into manageable chunks. Your feedback back to them should be explicit and unambiguous. You want to use clear formatting when you're giving instructions rather than a blob of text, just put everything in one long paragraph. And that way they can give you exactly what you need. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, self, how can I do this if I'm not a coder? How can I give instructions to a coding app if I don't know much about coding? So the answer is, if you don't know much about coding, which most of us don't, maybe you do, is that you ask another AI. Now, Bolt is built on the Claude 4 framework. So you can go to Perplexity, which also uses a lot of Claude 4, or you can go to ChatGPT to help you write the prompt. So that's the good thing about it. So in our example, we're going to go to Perplexity and we're going to ask it to help us write the first couple of prompts so we can then go to Bolt. So in this example, I say, I want you to act as a prompt engineer and designer to go and look at all the best practices of building an app using Bolt.new. And we want it to design prompts for building an events app focused on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence and the American Revolution. We want it to look at all the YouTube videos, all the documentation for Bolt.new. We wanted to ingest all of that and then come up with a really good set of prompts that I can then put into Bolt.new using what you've learned. Please write a prompt. And so Perplexity will go ahead and write that prompt for us. And then I can take that and put that into Bolt so it can go ahead and do what I need. So it talks about the technical requirements. It talks about the sample user story. It talks about the advanced prompting tips, all of that kind of stuff that, us normal people, we don't know much about that. So I take that and then I go over to Bolt and I go ahead and drop that into the Bolt interface. And this is what it looks like. You drop that over on the left-hand side, what you got from Perplexity. And then what you can see is that Bolt says, I'll build an elegant production-ready homepage for the New England 250th anniversary events application. Let me create a well-structured responsive design with all the requested features. So it tells you what its plan is going to be. Once it tells you its plan, you can see that it's building the project the way it told you what the plan is going to be. So it's thinking about all of that. The plan is completed, and now it's going ahead and it's starting to build that. The header, the events filter, all of that kind of thing. And now it's going to show you what it's done. And this is the exciting part. Boom. So now we've got this beautiful website. It's used the right colors. And we can look at this here. And it's got a good headline. It's got the colors, celebrating 250 years, New England 250. It's got the events about location, resources, find events. And if you click on the buttons where we have some content, those buttons work. And we're just gonna, I kind of click through a little bit to show you everything it had in here. It's got 6 states, 500 plus events, 250 years, historic moments. It's missing some pictures because we have not connected it to a database of photos. It just pulls some stock photos, some dummy content. So it had all the states correctly. It has the categories. So if you wanted tours, you want reenactments, you want whatever they got, it's got that in there. Now it pulls some content going back from a couple of years ago with the Boston Tea Party, and it's got some example content there. So I think it did a pretty good job just with that first thing that first task that we gave it. But obviously, we need to do a little bit more. So then just sort of moving on to give it some further instructions because obviously this isn't enough. So if you had access to Getty Images or Unsplash or some other image or events databases, you could do that so it could link into it, or you can ask it to go out and find some databases that it could use to populate the information. So the next thing you can say is now, let me see. Moving on to the next thing is that you can go back and say, now here are additional features I'd like for you to put in. I went back to Perplexity and asked it to do a little bit more prompting. Now, I wanted to have it so that people can sign up for this website and be able to sign in. So display the RSVP and authentication states across desktop and mobile views and all of that, and build that out for us. So it's working on that. It's I dropped that in, so it's thinking about what the plan is, and this took a little bit longer for it to come up with. So rather than have you having to look at all of that, I skipped ahead. It came up with the plan. It's building the functionality. It's telling you that what it's going to do. And as you can see now, in addition to everything else that it had, it created the sign up. It's still got some of the content in here that we don't want, but it's got the sign up and the sign in. So you can put in your email, and then when you come back to it, you can sign up and sign in. So as I said before, some of the next steps that you might want to take would be to define a time frame. So it was pulling content from 2023 because it was getting in all the Boston Tea Party stuff and things that happened a couple of years ago, Lexington and Concord. But so if you wanted to do everything after December 1st or December whatever 2025 and then end in December 31st, you would want to define a time frame of events. You want to connect any additional databases. If you had a relationship with some of the local news companies, all the stuff that they were able to pull. You want to connect a source for images, and then you want to deploy this. Now, I put a link, and I'm sure Justin is going to provide a link to this presentation, some hot links so you can follow this to learn how to deploy this website. And the basic way that you can deploy this is that Bolt has a relationship with a company called Netlify, which will build the code and store it. And then StackBlitz is the company that they use that you can go ahead and create a proper URL for it. And you can go in if you need to tweak it a little bit or make sure that everything is up to snuff. Or if you wanted to hand that off to a real developer, you could do that. But just as it is, you can go ahead and make this live, and people can use this website as is. There's a lot of resources out there for Bolt.new. You can go to their YouTube channel for tutorials. If you want to try something beyond a website, you can do that. I also put a link in here for coding resources from the Journalist AI Toolbox. If you don't want to do a website, let's say you wanted to do an application of some sort, or maybe you want to create a custom chat GPT, there are a lot of resources out there. And what I would suggest to get yourself started might be to think of something fun to do. Maybe not start off with, a FOIA request tool or something that's like, that you might be feel under the gun. But maybe you want to build a tool that can keep track of your workouts, or a running tool. There are a lot of them out there, but maybe you want something that's very specific to you. Or maybe you have a very specific diet that you want to follow, and just play around with one of these tools until you can get comfortable. If you want to, drop in the chat like what type of game or app that you would like to create. When Google updated in Gemini and in their AI studio, Google, a lot of people were playing around with build and creating games like, you know, um, a Space Invader game or a Minecraft game, and it did a really good job in just sort of replicating that. So that would be a fun way to kind of get comfortable. You're just doing it on your own to get comfortable with prompting a tool. And then from there, you might say, okay, well, what would be useful in your job to create something that you could deploy as a journalist or a communicator, or that can help you be more productive in your job. The people that I kind of follow a lot when it comes to these type of resources, there's a guy named Futurepedia. His website is Futurepedia. And if you go to YouTube, he does a lot on just AI in general, some of the new AI generation tools that are out there. But he will do deep dives in some of the vibe coding tools as they come out, or agentic tools that come out, how to create agents that can go out and follow, like if you follow different newsletters that are out there, how you can create a custom newsletter finder. And then every morning when you wake up, it'll have like the latest news on certain things that you're interested in that'll dump into your inbox. But he does a lot around these type of tools. And Matt Wolf is another person. He keeps an eye on all of the latest tools as they come out. And there are so many, because you don't want to turn on the spigot. It's like drinking from a fire hose. I sometimes I'm so overwhelmed with all the new tools, because soon as Google releases something, ChatGPT tries to counter, and then all these other companies, from the Chinese companies to the the more obscure companies that are out there. It's just so much. It's hard to keep up. So don't get overwhelmed. Like pick one of these tools, start playing around with it. And then if it's not your cup of tea, maybe you move on to something else that people say this might be a little bit better for you. I find Bolt really good. Some of my students, when I showed them how to use vibe coding, they like Zapier. Other people like Cursor. And then other people who might have a more of a coding background tend to be a little bit more technical. They like windsurf. So it just depends on what your cup of tea might be. But Bolt.new and Zapier, I think there's some of the more accessible ones that you might want to play with. And again, using Build, because if you like the Google infrastructure and you're using a lot of Google's tools already, then this might be something that you want to stick within Google. Go ahead and do the pro version. And then that way you have Nano Banana, you have, all the other Google AI tools that you can play around with and use.
With going back to Bolt, you created, what looks to be this great website. Can you explain to us though how Bolt then makes that website live? Like where is it hosted? How do you direct people to it? How do you edit that website? Like, can you kind of pull back the curtain a little bit and tell us how that's all done?
Yeah, so and I put a link where it says follow this link to learn more about deployment. So Netlify is the company that it has a relationship with. So once you have your like that website all ready to go, you've got everything hooked up, then you would click on a link to go to Netlify. And that would be the company that would deploy it. And then when you are ready to store your code, it will go into Stack Blitz. So this link to the YouTube channel is about a 4 minute video that'll give you an overview. So let me see if I can open this one
What if
up.
I told you that you could build a...
And so let me kind of go here.
Once you're happy with your website, the next thing
Can
is
you all see
deploy your
this?
website. Bolt makes use of Netlify for this.
Can you
Click
see the
deploy
website?
button at the top right
Yes.
corner of the screen, and Bolt will handle the rest. When the build is complete, click this link to view your live website.
So it's deploying to
And there it is.
Netlify.
To tweak or claim your URL, let's create a repository. Head back to Bolt and click Open in StackBlitz. It will redirect you to the StackBlitz website. StackBlitz is an online tool for building and managing websites without installing extra software. Click Create a Repository. A dialog box will appear, allowing you to rename your project. Let's name it NFT Studio because the website we are building is for an NFT studio. Once that's done, click the confirmation button. You now have a repository with a live preview of your site. Next, let's claim and customize the website's URL. Before we do that, please subscribe to this channel. To claim and customize the website's URL, click this longer link here. This link is specifically generated for the project we just built on Bolt. It will redirect you to Netlify's website. On the Netlify login page, you will see multiple login options such as GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket. Choose the option that works best for you. I'll use my GitHub account to log in. After logging in, Netlify may ask you to authorize access to your account. Click the Authorize button to grant permissions. If you're new to Netlify, you'll be prompted to answer a few setup questions. These include details like your role and project type. Fill them out and click Continue to Deploy. Netlify will now display a list of platforms to integrate with. Select GitHub to proceed. Netlify will request permission to verify your GitHub account.
If you're not familiar with GitHub, GitHub is a place where if you are a coder or you've done any projects, you can put your code up there that's only private to you, or if you're a part of a team, your team can be part of it, or if you want to make it public. And let's say another person came along and go, hey, I kind of dig this website. They can do a fork. They can fork over your code, not taking your code or messing with your code. They can just fork that code over to their own GitHub and then replicate it. They might say, I'm going to do a events website for all of the American Revolution events in my region in the southeastern part of the United States, and they just changed all the databases for Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, all of that stuff. So it tells you how to do all of that. And if you were doing a tool, let's say a workout tool, you could just deploy it to GitHub. And so that's the way people share code.
We only have a couple minutes left, Retha, but in the time we have remaining, can you give us a few more ideas, maybe some examples of what small local newsrooms in particular have done with Bolt and some of the other resources that you provided? Just want to make sure everybody leaves with ideas beyond, a calendar of events. What have you seen?
Yeah, and I was trying to think about what people have built using vibe coding, but when I went to the journalist AI toolbox, you might have something like maybe if you have you could create a an ethics guide, or maybe it's your style guide for your newsroom. If it's particular, if you're using the AP style guide, then you don't have to do this. But let's say your website has a particular style guide or ethics guide. If you wanted to do, I'm like looking for ideas from you guys that you've always wanted to do for your particular newsroom. You can build an app as opposed to like we can't do it because we don't have a coder. Any ideas in the chat? That's something you've always wanted to do. But again, if we go to the journalist AI toolbox, there might be something. Maybe it's a FOIA request. Maybe your state or your county has something peculiar that's different from some of the other counties around the way you have to do a Freedom of Information request. And it's something that will help generate that so it's not as laborious as it's been in the past.
Thank you, Retha. Yeah, I think what's so exciting about all of this is how individualized it is, right?
Mhm.
Yes, we could come up with some general examples of what other newsrooms are doing, but really what matters is what are the needs within your own newsrooms, your own journalism practice, and how these resources can help you specifically. And I think given all of your instruction, and again, I'll post the slides and all of the links. Got a great head start to using these tools. So thank you, Retha, again for all of this. Really appreciate it. And many thanks to everyone who's here today joining us. Again, we provide these lessons as a public service to all of you. So please return the favor, support our work, and encourage your colleagues and friends to join us each month. We have a lot to learn from each other, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. On behalf of NEFAC, thank you. Thank you for all you do, and we'll see you next month for our next 30-minute skills. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.